Hi, I'm Hildy Gottlieb, and last week I did a podcast for the Tamarack Institute, and in response to that podcast, someone named Eric had a question that I'm asked very frequently, usually in response to the TED Talk that I did. So I thought that I would answer it in video here for you, Eric, and for others who have that question as well. And the question was, where does data analysis and survey analysis and social analysis fall into the planning process that we use at creating the future? If we're aiming for what's possible, where does data fall into that? If you listen to the TED Talk, what you heard was really phase one of that planning process. And phase one is all rooted in the community and the future that we want to create. And we reach for the highest potential outcome in the community, and we reverse engineer the cause and effect preconditions to that terrific outcome. In the second phase of the planning process, which is not described in the TED Talk, in the second phase is where we really get down to the brass tacks of what are we going to do today to create that future. And so we look at goals. We look at how we're going to measure our progress on our goals. We look at research. We look at engagement. Who do we need to engage to really affect this change? We look at how are we aligning our values with what we're doing. And that's all rooted in phase two. And then the third phase, which we don't talk about at all in the TED Talk, is an organizational wellness component, which is how do we ensure that our organization has the capacity in every functional area to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And so you start to see that the data piece, the research piece, is embedded into that second phase. How do we turn this into reality? The difference then becomes, when do we do the analysis? Not whether, but when. What we're very used to is doing the data analysis prior to doing planning and rooting our planning in what we find in the analysis. What that means is that we're analyzing what's going on in our communities. Usually that's what we don't like about our communities. And then we're creating plans to respond to that. So what we're inadvertently doing is creating reactive plans. And we're creating reactive plans in the image of today, suggesting that the best we can possibly hope for the future is today minus the problems that we have. If we're going to create a future significantly different than what we have today, we cannot tether our plans to what today looks like. We have to envision the future that we want to create and then ask the question, what do we need to know in order to take the steps to create that future? And that's where the analysis comes in. That's where the data comes in. Of course, we need to know about today, but we need to know about it within the context of the future that we want to create. So what we're doing in the planning process in phase two, in phase one, we are first envisioning the future we want to create and looking at the cause and effect steps that working backwards from that goal, create what do we want to do today. What we do in phase two then is we collect data in service to that future that we want to create. So we're still collecting the data, we're still analyzing the data, but it's just not tethering the plan. And we're not creating reactive plans, we're creating creative plans that envision a future very, very different than today. I hope that helps to answer the question for you, Eric, and for everyone else. If you guys have other questions, you know where to find me. I'm at creatingthefuture.org. Thanks a lot, guys.